p.m., we dive into the powerful, often... Welcome to Unspoken Real Talk, where men come to talk, to heal, and to be heard. I'm your host and moderator, Pamela Coleman. Wednesdays at 7 p.m., we dive into the powerful, often unspoken conversations around men's mental health. From silent struggles to bold breakthroughs, this is a safe space where vulnerability is strength and real talk is the rule. With conversation that reflect the journey, the pain, progress, and peace, you'll see you're not alone. So pull up a chair, open your mind, and let's talk. This is Unspoken Real Talk.
Hello, hello, hello. Here we are again on this lovely Monday to talk to our friend and partner in crime and co-author of Unspoken Real Talk, Pharaoh Doctor. And you have the floor, my friend. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
How you doing? Thanks again for having me. A little bit something about myself is I'm 38 years old. I'm a husband. I am a father of 4. I have a 17-year-old. I have a 7-year-old. I have what I call as a heaven-year-old, meaning one of my children passed away. And then my youngest is almost a year. I'm currently working in education, as an educator, and I'm currently working to get my master's in school counseling. So I have maybe about another year going with that. Also an author. I released my first book when I was about in 2019. Had no plans on actually publishing the book. I wanted to actually write it and use it as a keepsake, but God had other plans. So, like I said, married. I'm extremely active in my community. I'm a part of various events, organizations, fraternity, and I just believe in just being the change that I want to see in the community. So that's just me in a nutshell.
That's why you are one of our men of Unspoken. Just saying. Yeah. That part, because you said you wanted to be part of a change, and that brings us to where we are right now.
Absolutely.
Where the men are not seeking help for mental illness.
Right.
So I know I asked you several times to join us, but when was it that you decided that this was a fit for you to do?
That's a good question. Honestly, for me, it's kind of tough sometimes to be transparent. Sometimes I'm very guarded, because some of the things that I've learned in life is more so who can you trust? How am I really entering into a safe space? Is my story going to be valued? Am I going to be heard? Am I going to be listened to? So for me, I'm always kind of I always put up fences around my feelings. So for me, it was more so of, at times it's hard for me to be transparent. So I said, you know what? I thought about it. I prayed about it. I said, all right, guys, is this something you want me to do? Because if you don't want me to do it, I won't do it. And I would be glad not to do it. But it's just more so for me, it's a struggle at times to be transparent, because I don't know if I'm fully going to be listened to or heard. So this time I know, because you had tried. I don't know. Can't remember the first time you tried.
It was the first. It was the first one that we did that had, I think, 29 men in it. Mm-hmm. And it's because of, and you probably go, really? But I could see that you had a story to tell here, and I was like, when he's ready, he'll join, and you did. And now they're asking for, you know where I'm going with this. So I'm like, okay, let's see what we can do. But it's going to have to end up being more yearly than as soon as people, because this is taking on, as you can see, we're podcasting now.
Right.
We went from seminar to book to podcast to, I'm not exactly sure what 2026 is going to bring, but strap in, because they're already talking about, we don't know what we want to do, but we want to do it where we can reach people. Right. I think the next thing I'm going to do, but I'm going to try a podcast first, is Brothers Who Brunch.
Okay.
and bring, like 6 or 7 here just to talk, and I'm just going to be over there in the corner because I want to bring it to an actual setting.
Right. Right.
So, you guys can talk instead of just watching football.
I
Have that dialogue, even though football could be playing, but still have that dialogue.
Right. Right. That's a good plan. That's a good idea.
Well, I'm not going to tell your story because
Okay.
that story is for those to read.
Okay.
But reading your story, which was probably one of the hardest ones I had,
Hmm.
I felt, because you could really feel it. So it took me, I had to do your editing over a week
Hmm.
because I had to read, cry, read, So, what did you do to help you get through the loss of a sweet baby?
Man, it was so much, and it is so much work. Like I said before, I'm extremely guarded with my feelings. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, as men, we kind of just taught to kind of just keep everything in. Don't show any signs of weakness. Don't show certain stuff. But like burying my child was something different. Like it's unlike any other pain I felt in my life. So I couldn't go about it the way that I went about everything else. If
Mm-hmm.
something else happened, that was traumatic. This is, that was by far the worst. It was like pain times 1,000. So I remember going to, because I went to two grief support groups. One was online and one was in person. Me and my wife went to one in person. It was about, I believe it was 8 weeks, 8 weeks, and then the other one was ongoing, but it was virtual. So I remember going to these programs because I couldn't hold it in. Like I couldn't keep it in because it was so it's nothing prepares you for it as a parent. Like you
Oh,
don't
no, no,
prepare,
no.
nothing prepares you for. Oh, maybe I'll I have to bury my child. Nothing prepared us for it. So I had to go to seek some type of assistance because it was just weighing on me tough. It was weighing on me tough. Like I said, easily the toughest thing I've ever experienced in my life, and still processing it. Right.
Oh,
So
it'll be there for
it'll be
for a
there
long
for
time. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I noticed that I had to explore healthy options. So this was like the first time that I can honestly say that I really had to explore a healthy option on how to address my feelings, how to address my thoughts, how to address my mental. Because I've been through traumatic experiences before, but none of them ever came close to this. Like this is by far it's just the worst. So I had to explore it. So I owed it to myself, and I definitely owed it to my family to seek, um, assistance in that area for grief. So.
That I was going to ask you, as the way our men were raised to shoulder everything.
Mhm.
Um, did you feel like you had to push yours back to make sure your wife was good? Did you push what you were dealing with back to make sure she was good? Because men are supposed to shoulder.
Yeah. So it was very tough because we're married, of course, so we're both grieving. We're grieving as a married couple, but we're also grieving as individuals, right? So
Mhm.
there were times where, of course, like I had to, I felt like I had to be there for her way more, because obviously it's different with me being the father versus my wife carrying the baby and having a different type of bond with our child. So I tried to be there, for her as best as I could. I almost remember coming out of the hotel, not the hotel, the hospital room, and I think they had her in the, like, I think they were pushing her out. And this was after our child had passed, and they were pushing her out. And I remember coming out the NICU, and I remember feeling like this immense amount of pressure on my chest, where I almost passed out, like in the hallway area. So somebody had to kind of grab my arm and keep me upright. I think it just came from all that pressure, like that, and it goes back to the first question as far as like what did I do? Because I had to find healthy outlets. I couldn't
Mhm.
hold it in. Like there was no way. And trust me, I tried. I tried so hard to hold it in. I tried. I couldn't. It was just because as a parent, you just don't think that days like this exist. or you may see someone else experience it, but you'll never think that it'll happen to you, right?
Right.
So for me, I did find myself trying to be there for her, but me and my wife, we're a team. So throughout the whole process, it was very weird sometimes the way we grieve. So sometimes I'll find myself crying, but she's good, so she could be there for me. And then maybe the next day she may be crying, and I'm not crying, but I'm there for her. So it's sort of like we kind of joke and say we have like a tennis match way of grieving in our marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. You're not. You will never be prepared for it. There's no, just like there's not a manual for raising them.
Mm-hmm.
There's not one for if this happens.
Right.
So this has been, and I think we talked about it a little bit, but this has been one that's kind of been in the back of my mind a little bit. And I've talked to several people about it. Mm-hmm. Being in a fraternity, mm-hmm. there are things that you guys go through, mm-hmm. to and through, mm-hmm. to get to brotherhood. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about that and how that would play into your mental, mm-hmm. during that process, because the process, if I understand, has changed a lot since I was at state, mm-hmm. because I was at the door of one ready to go and chickened out. I'm gonna call it what it was. I was scared to death of the actual process.
What?
Back in the day, that word was still, that still could be done. It freaked me out. So I, is that a regret on my regret list? Yes. But did that, which one, I can't say which one it is, but having a brotherhood, does that help your mental, or do you find sometimes you still can't be as transparent because of the stigma?
That's a good
stigma,
question.
The stigma is there.
That's a good question. I would say it's a little bit of both, because even though, because grieving my daughter, right? Mm-hmm. It's like you said not too long ago, it's always there, right? So going through, the grieving process and, joining a fraternity, it's still, I have, brothers that I could count on. But even then before, I joined the fraternity, I still had brothers that I could, kind of count on. So, but it was more so just me having a hard time putting my walls down. It was me having a hard time, whether I was going into the fraternity or not. For me personally, I always have a hard time, because I try to find really safe spaces for me to actually share. Right. So I've always been in my way regarding, okay, can I trust you what I'm about to tell you? So whether you in a fraternity or not, it was always for me an issue, because as men, we're taught, all right, you gotta have it all together. And if you don't have it all together, you gotta look like you got it all together. You have to look like you have the answers. When my daughter passed, it was, like I said, I couldn't hold it all in, because I literally tried. I literally tried to not talk about my daughter as much. I literally tried to not do certain things, but I couldn't do it. So, being in the fraternity is, yes, I have my brothers there. And if I need to go to them, if I happen to share something, they're there. Even my brothers that's not in the fraternity, if I need to go to them, they're there. But, for me, it's me moving out of my own way, like I said before, trying to find healthy ways for me to explore my feelings and help me get into the safe spaces for real.
Yeah, that, I think, because, and we had this conversation in one of the other ones, that when the men look for help, they're looking for someone that looks like them.
Right.
I think we found by accident one African-American therapist. He's in Richmond. So, he said he wants to, my hair is driving me crazy. He wants to, he wants to join. He wants to be a part of what we're doing. So I've got to reach out to him. But they are not African-American men that you guys can sit down and talk to.
Right.
That other than, your homies or your brothers or your.
Right.
Or something. So that's hard.
and they're not as close as I am to, you know, the guys that I'm close with. They're not therapists. They're not
Mm-hmm.
professionals, right? So that was one of the things. Like I said, you know, I had to find safe spaces, but then I also had to admit to myself, like, man, Terrence, you need some help with this one. The type of help you need with this one, you can't just call your homeboys up. Like every now and then you might can, but you need to understand how to navigate through these feelings. So, you
And they
know,
always say that, you know, there's that power in prayer. We
right,
understand that. We get that because we were raised that way, but we need a little bit more.
right,
Just like there's, and we're not knocking it. There's not being knocked, but you need a little bit more.
man, listen. I'm glad you brought that up because it took me a long time to talk to God. A long time. And even in being transparent, sometimes it's still a struggle because my faith was hit so hard
Mm-hmm.
when my child passed. Like so hard. So there were people that would tell me that they was gonna pray for me, and I would be like, man, I don't even really want to hear it right now. Because right now, like where I am in this space, just let me sit in this space. I get what you're saying, but I just gotta at this point, I don't really feel as though, you know, prayer was, and I was still upset. You know, you go through the different stages of grief, the different stages of depression. So I was like, you know what? I wasn't trying to hear it, but you know, I still believe in God. It's just my faith took a huge hit, huge hit.
I'm with you on that because I lost four in a row. You know, it was 18 months apart. They were just going 2012, 2014, 2016, 2017. And I'm going,
Yeah, yeah,
what I do, you know,
yeah,
or
yeah,
what
yeah,
message are you trying to tell me
yeah.
that I'm not seeing? You know,
Yeah.
what message is it that I am not picking up?
God,
So it just, yeah.
who did I hurt? God, God, did you not trust me enough to be able to handle this assignment? Was I
What
not
lesson?
of this
You know,
child?
what lesson?
What lesson am I learning from this? Like there were a lot of being honest, there are a lot of questions I still have. Like why? What was wrong? Like so it took me a while to kind of get on speaking terms with God. That's why I think I saw somewhere, I can't remember if somebody said it to me or if I saw it online and it was something along the lines of when we don't know what to say to God, just pray to God that he hears our heart or something like that. Something along those lines. And I was like, okay,
Hmm.
I could kind of relate to that. I could kind of relate to that. And then it was like I was going through different things. Like I had went to, it was a candlelight visual of a child that had passed away. And this was like not too long after my child had passed away. And it was a candlelight visual for a child. I think they were like 2 or 3 years old. So I wanted to be there for the family. And I remember it was a couple of guys there because they thought that I was having a hard time because I had kind of walked off and I sat on this bench. And I was kind of having a moment to myself. So they knew why, you know what I'm saying? So they came over and one of them happened to be a preacher. And I was like, man, I'm so mad at God. So he was like, well, if you're mad at God, you know you could tell him, you know, he can handle whatever you put on him, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of like changed my thought process too. Like, all right. So then I just started telling God, like, God, I'm kind of upset with you today. Like, I still don't feel like talking, but I just want to let you know I still.
Oopsie. We have technical difficulty. I hear you. I hear something.
You hear me?
Yep, there you are.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, that's okay. I was like, do I do karaoke or what should I do? It's like,
All right.
okay, just stay here. Just sit.
Okay. So you can see me too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can
Okay,
see you
okay,
too.
okay.
I can see you too.
Perfect.
So the question I always ask is about the partner support, and you covered that. You covered how you guys work through this. So, you got me because you covered all my good questions already. You just did. You did. So, if you were talking to younger African American men, what would you tell them to help them that you couldn't, like what is it that you would want them to do that you were unable to do younger growing up as far as the mental side of it? What nugget do you want them to have?
That's a good one. What nugget do I want them to have? I would say honestly that it's okay to have feelings. It is okay to, shed tears if you need to. It is okay to not be okay and understand that. Like it is okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to not have things figured out, right? So it's okay to navigate through life and it's okay to have questions. So I think all in all, for the most part, it's okay to not be okay. Because at times in life, you're not going to have the answers, and you can't go through life sometimes saying, oh, I'm a man, so everything is going to move out of my way. That's not how things are going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to more so learn that it is okay to not be okay. But then don't sit in it. Try to find healthy avenues so that way you can navigate through it. Whatever that may be, whether that be God, seek professional assistance. Writing for me, I started writing when I started writing at 11 years old. I literally have suitcases filled with notebooks just of me writing. So, I tried to find a healthy outlet when I was 11 years old and I started writing. So, that was a way for me to somewhat kind of get my thoughts out there without, because then there was always that fear of being judged. I say something, then it, being laughed at and all this stuff. So once again, it was much easier for me to keep my walls up. So,
You said since 11 years old.
11 years old.
You have a suitcase full of books.
I have one big black suitcase, and it's just filled with like notebooks of me writing in it, and then the other one is sort of like a smaller like duffel bag, and I got notebooks in there too. And it's just
You
me.
see my wheels rolling, right?
You
see my wheel. You see my wheels rolling.
Yeah. No lie. That was the reason why my first book, like I said before, my first book I was not planning on publishing that book for public. I was going to publish it for myself, and that was it. So in my book that I wrote, there are thoughts that I've had in there since I released the book when I was like, I think I was 32. But there are some thoughts in my book when I was 17, 19, 21. It ranges at different ages. So yeah, I got a suitcase full.
You see, I don't know how come I can't ever turn things off, but I just see the younger Terrence and the older Terrence on the cover talking to each other, and everything you wrote younger, you're answering that as an older person.
Man, you might be on to something. You might be on to something with that one. You might be on to something for real. That one, absolutely. You might be on to something. Yeah.
I mean, it's not something you know, and this is what we do on this platform. We normally steer left or right sometimes. So here we go. We're gonna go right. But like if you break it down into your years, or you can just turn what you wrote into dialogue, the younger one talking to the older one as you get older, and then you end it with you now.
Yeah, that sounds like something. That sounds like something. Yeah.
Poof. And that was what, all of 20 seconds you said something and just like, phew.
Yeah, you did say your wheels were rolling. I didn't.
Yeah, I don't. Y'all see why I don't sleep? It's just like, yeah. So,
Yeah,
and your cover could be the same. The younger you,
it could.
and it's not even a versus. It's more like or you could either have the younger you going, into phases, right on into the. It doesn't have to be just so blunt, but you can just have that. The little you, the next you.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Hey, that's what I'm here for. Hey, I'm here for them. Just send the ideas my way. I'll just send them back to you. But
yeah, that was a good idea.
But writing since 11. So see, you've got writing since 11, getting your feelings out, becoming a counselor, helping youngers. I was thinking about this because I'm in the school system too. We can tackle the younger ones that are open. It is our gang affiliated ones or our tougher ones that, if we were to tackle young kids, we'd have to start there. But
Right.
you don't have people who are comfortable enough or don't, can't remove that fear of what could happen. Because there's still students in the hall that I see now that I'm going, and I may turn and go the other way just because I know.
Right.
But also, as you know, there's a backstory as to why they're like that. So you got to build this up in order to get behind the backstory.
Right.
So I don't know how to reach them. I don't know how you would reach them. Because they're too cool. They're too cool for that.
Yeah, they're too cool. Many of them, want to fit into something. Like they want to feel loved and appreciated somewhere. So if for them, they feel it in a gang, that's where they feel it. I think, one of the things that I try to encourage, especially a lot of men to do, because I do know that a lot of men don't want to work in this school system, which, I'm hoping that will change.
Slowly.
But also to get more men active in the community as well. So if there's, I feel like because also a few years ago, I created a nonprofit called Blueprint to Manhood. So it helps young men from ages 7 to 17. And I'm also a part of a mentorship program with my fraternity called the Male Protege Program. So both programs focus on young men within a certain age range, but also offer a male presence. And the volunteers come from different backgrounds. So you have some that have served time. You have some that are maybe deacons in church. You have some that served time in the army. You have some that were maybe heavy into the streets, but they changed their life. So it's a different range of volunteers. So I believe that when you have that type of option set up to the kids, they may not be able to relate to me, but they can relate to somebody a part of the program or somebody that they see in the community. Because as you said, for many of them, they need to see themselves. They need to see that things can be done. We could tell our children all day long that they could be whatever they want to be, but I feel like we need to show them that. A lot of them, a lot of them are tired of talking. They want to see actual. That's why many of them, especially young men, a lot of them want to be, be in sports and music, because that's where they see themselves represented the most. So it's nothing wrong with it, but why not be a veterinarian? Why not be a lawyer? Why not be a doctor? Why not be any of the other things? So I think it comes down for us to really show our community and show these kids what they can be, which also means about us not giving up on our dreams either. So, because a lot of
It's
kids
hard.
stuff. It is.
It's hard.
It is.
It's the hardest thing ever, and it goes full circle. Way the men were raised, that they're not supposed to show weakness, they're not supposed to cry, they're not supposed to, this is what they're shown, but they gotta break that for themselves in order to show the younger kids that this is what. So it's like it's full circle.
It is. And it's layered. It's so many layers to it. So many kids, especially young men, have been they're used to hearing inconsistent messages from people, or they're used to being in inconsistent environments, so to say.
Yeah.
So, you know, just showing young men consistency. That's one of the things I lean a lot on, throughout the school year. I don't try to immediately go in and discipline kids. I try to, build rapport with them. It may start out something small, like, all right, they may come in with some nice sneakers. All right, this student right here, he got a nice collection of sneakers. All right,
Right.
so when I come back to school, I'm gonna make sure I wear these sneakers. So then when I wear a certain type of sneaker, he may look at my shoes and like, Mr. Doctor, I like those shoes. So now we're talking about sneakers. So now it could start off as sneakers, and then it could go to something else. It could go
That
from
that first common ground.
the first common
Yeah.
ground. So, I'm not going into it just thinking, oh, let me change them, let me change them, let me change them. No, let me get to know this student first. And then, like you said, common ground. Then it could go from there. Then also realizing, and it took me a long time to learn this because I have a passion for working in the community and with kids. It took me a long time to notice that, like, I don't have the power to save anybody, and I can't
Right.
save everybody. It took me a long time to notice that. So, like you said, building that common ground with them, getting to know them, and then from there, everything else, will take care of itself.
It's kind of like one of the students I had, as I'm trying to do multiple things. He was what was he doing? He was listening to Pop Smoke or something. And I laughed. I said, what do you know about Pop Smoke? And he said, well, what do you know about Pop Smoke? So I showed him the 2 or 3 that I had in my playlist. Oh, I ain't never heard that one before. And yeah. And then and the same thing, they showed me. This was one of my Latino students, and he was listening to Pop Smoke, and then he shared some of his music, which I actually liked, but I had to put it through the translator to make sure I wasn't listening to the wrong stuff.
Right.
But so like you said, that kind of like broke the ice. So we switched playlists or whatever, and they're like, oh, so just that little. Like you said, that one thing, the shoes was the one thing, the music was the one thing, just something.
Sports, music. The last few weeks of school, after the exams was done, I had the students create me a playlist. So I had a poster on like 2 different sides of the classroom. And I said, all right, guys, create a playlist. Like, I'm making a playlist. Write whatever song you want me to hear on there. So, I'm learning about the students. And then, some students, they putting up Jagged Edge and 112. And I'm like, what y'all know about Jagged Edge? Or what y'all know about this artist? And once again, it's creating conversations just based off of music. So, oh, my mom plays that all the time. Now we're talking. So it's not just me talking at them. Like, we're talking. Their voice is heard, even just talking about music. So,
It's just like you said, and we I started, today was the first day of summer school, and I don't know, this is just the person that I am. I'm going, okay, so getting the kids ready, set up and everything, and I'm like, so what do we want to do for them on the last day of school? And everybody's like, I'm like, no, seriously, I don't need this to sneak up on us again. And so they like, oh, so they start throwing out ideas or whatever they wanted to do. So I was writing them down so that next week we can narrow it down. And then the following week we could get everything we need. And when that last day come, here you go, blessings, bye.
Bye. That's right.
And run. And I was talking to my AP the other day, and I told her, I said, I saw the perfect end of the year school t-shirts for next year. She said, I just got over last week. But I don't know why time is going by as fast as it is, and it feels like it's zooming. But we had to cut our summer this year short by 2 weeks because they're trying to get the county and the city on the same one. Because the county gets out early, they go back early. I mean, the city gets out early, and we just got out on the 10th, and the city's been out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So they're trying to get everybody on the same in the school day. So we lose 2 weeks this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
to go back. So I'm already at the end of I'm already
Already up there.
Yeah, I'm already,
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking Christmas break and
Uh-huh.
all that stuff, and I'm gonna be ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just, and that part, the job that we both have, that wears I was physically and mentally drained by the time May 29th got here.
Yeah.
That's when our seniors graduated, and I work in the ESOL department.
Uh-huh.
We got 22 kids to go across stage out of 25.
Yeah.
And all 22 was the first of their family to get a diploma.
Wow. That's major.
That
That
was
is major.
hard. That was hard.
That's major.
I mean, we had kids in the school until the day before graduation. Last year, we had one in there. Well, actually, they weren't my students, but I knew them. We
Mhm.
had one in there 4 o'clock before graduation taking an SOL test,
Really?
taking
Man.
their last SOL test for the third time that week.
Oh man. Oh man.
And the day before, she got a 72 and she needed a 75. And they took all day with her. They made her take breaks.
Mm-hmm.
She'd do questions, she'd take a break, she'd do questions. I mean, she got a 78. Everybody was jumping up and down, hallelujah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Four, now graduation was at 6. 3:05, she was done.
My goodness.
You talking about a quick print on a diploma?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Oh man.
If they're not already printed, I think they would have just pulled it out and then skip her name on the program. But
Oh man. Talking
and
about
that's stress.
yeah,
That's stress right there.
it
And
is.
I'm wondering why we don't have many male teachers in our school, and we don't have very many African American men or women. I think we can count them all on.
Same. Same. That's
And you
that.
would think in your area you'd have more.
Yeah, but it's certain depending on certain school divisions. So where I am, I think, because I'm in a different building. I think it's the same as 1, 2, 3. I think it's like four African American men in one building. There's a ninth grade campus and the main campus.
Mm-hmm.
So the main campus, I'm not sure how many are in the main campus, but as far as in the campus that I'm in, it's only maybe 4 black men. Um, yeah, 4 black men, and I think it's more black women or somewhat close in number. Um, but
Yeah, I
that's
think we got 5 men.
yeah, that's one of the
Yeah.
reasons why I try to get. That's what one of the reasons why I'm trying to, because I think about the time when I was in school and how for me I didn't have a black male teacher until my ninth grade year. He was my art teacher, Mr. Cox. He was my art teacher. I want to say he was my first black male teacher, and you want to be able to present. Go back to what we was talking about a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
being able to present, to the kids, different types of people, but also see themselves. So that's why one of the reasons why I'm thankful that God allows me to operate, within the schools, but also, trying to be a school counselor as well. Because I don't really know, I don't even really know too many. I don't really know a black male school counselor. I don't really know many of those.
We got one female and we had one male, but he is now over the whole counseling department. So
Yeah,
he's the
yeah,
head of counseling.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
used to at one time, was he the same one? I think he was the same one that went to different schools. But no, we had 2 black male principals.
Yeah, yeah.
And now we just got our first that I know of black female principal.
Hmm.
Second one. Nope, there's 2 of them that I know of, but it's not common.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm wondering if that also falls back on the way we were raised too, because I tell you what, I have to check myself on a regular because I go old school real quick. I was like, y'all got to put me back in high school because I was in elementary school. Them little kids was running away, and I was like,
oh yeah.
And it was like
Elementary school and middle school.
Like, little Billy, you can't do that.
Yeah. You,
and in the back of my mind, all I can hear is my grandma, you don't get back.
You gotta hold it together more in elementary school. And I mean, yeah, and even our high school, it's tough, man. It is tough because in elementary school and in middle school, it's more so like they still have years to go behind it.
Mm-hmm.
High school is like, all right, guys, we only got 4 years to get y'all ready, right? Like after this is some of you guys want college, some of you guys don't. Some of you guys want to go into the armed forces. Some of you guys want to go into workforce. Some of you guys have no clue what you want to do. Which
none, not a drop.
Yeah, some of y'all don't know what y'all want to do. So it's it's tough because we're trying to get them to see something and prepare for a world that is not caring, and it may not be as nurturing and supportive as the way it should be. So you're trying to get a lot done within the 4 years before they're kind of.
It's like, ooh, yeah, boy, yeah. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah.
I don't even know how we got here. I don't know if it was that golden carrot of having the entire summer off or something, but yeah, I don't think if I have to, I would do it, but I don't think I can go back to a 9 to 5 now.
Yeah,
I've thought about it, but I just don't think I can.
That's why I try to tell more people to look into the schools. But then again, it's like you said, it's one of those. I feel like you got to have a passion to want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to have a passion to want to genuinely care about kids. Certain
you can tell the ones that don't want to be there.
Yeah, and you can tell, and the students can tell. The students can tell who really wants to be there, who cares versus who doesn't. So it's like, you may not know everything there is, or we may not know everything there is to know about teaching. Certain things can be trained, right? The purpose of training and stuff like that. But man, when you got a passion for it, it's just in you. And some people, they just don't have that passion for kids, which is understandable. But that's my selling point to a lot of people. Hey man, you might want to look into the schools. If you can, try to look into the schools, man. The schedule is not too bad.
Yeah, the schedule's not bad, even though, like you said, it'll definitely mess with your mental.
It will.
It does. Or you'll get attached to a student that needs help outside of what kids need, and you just don't know what you're gonna run into. Mm-hmm. I guess that'd be that Forrest Gump thing that the kids your classroom's gonna be like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna get.
Nah, yeah, it's just like you never know when you're gonna get hit in the neck with a chair.
Mm-hmm. That's what I do. I just hold the students accountable for that. I tell the students all the time, you got to be careful what you say around me, because I'll take one thing and I'll hold on to it. Because I played sports in high school. Mm-hmm. Anytime a child plays sports, I hold on to that. And I'll ask them, all right, so where do you want to go to college? Well, I want to go to this college. All right, bet. So then I'll talk to them about maybe who that school is or who the coach is for that football team or that basketball team or whatever. And I hold it over their head the whole year. And I always tell them, I want my jersey signed. So I tell them that's my way. Like, when you make it, I want my jersey and I want it to be signed so I can hang it up on my pancake. But, I kind of hold them accountable for what they say. You say you want to go to this school to play football, but your grades are horrible. How are you going to get there? You told me this. I didn't tell you that you wanted to go to Maryland. You told me that you wanted to go to university.
And that's one of the ones, like we were talking about, that probably needed to be reached on a deeper level.
Yep.
Because they can do the work, but what is it that's stopping them from doing the work? Are they too cool? Do they need extra assistance? Do they need an IEP, or what is it? But some of the kids that have the IEP are too cool to use it, which makes them suffer. So that's when I was saying that if we were to help them break that cycle, You got to start at the harder group first because it's just.
That is true.
So what's next? What's next on your plate? What are you gonna do next?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. Um, well, right now, more so, just making my way through this program, making my way through the master's program. I'm in the last part of the program, so I don't have long left. So for me, that's my short-term goal is just getting through that. Obviously, my goal is to be a school counselor. Because I feel like I would be teaching is cool, but for me, counseling is where I see myself a much better fit. So that's my end all goal within the schools. Now, if God decides to take it either further than that, by all means, I'm with that. But for me, I really want to be a school counselor. When I came up in the schools, I would say I didn't really have, especially in high school, I didn't really have I'm not going to say I didn't have a good counselor. I just felt like they could have done a little bit better explaining things to me in certain type of ways and settings and prepared me. So I think back then school counselors were called guidance counselors. So I felt like they could have done a better job at kind of guiding me in that direction. So for me, I want to make sure that, when I become a school counselor, that I provide myself, the best experience with helping the children succeed for the most part. So, that's my goal. Anything outside of that, because after I'm done with my master's, I'm not going back. I'm so sick of school. So once I get done with my master's, I'm done. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you should go back. You should go back for your doctorate, so you could be called Doctor. Man, I don't want to do all that.
You don't want to be called Doctor.
People call me Doctor now, so I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I would say this: I'm not completely closed off to it, but it really has to be beneficial. Like it really has to make sense. I can't just go back to school to get my doctorate just because of the name change. Like it has to be something more vested, like because that's more time
and money.
So it has to really be, And then I hear, some, there are programs out there where people will say, depending on the major and stuff like that, where it will be, it could be paid for. But even then, it just has to be beneficial. So I'm not closed off to the idea, but
I think all I'm gonna do right now, because I'm done with books. The only books I want to see is grade books. That's it. Is they have this thing. It's an 8-hour class. It's a mental health CPR first aid, where you get certified for that. It's almost like a CPR class, but it's a mental health one, and it's 2 hours self, and then the rest is online. You have the online teacher, and every time I want to do it, I'm either working or it hasn't fit for 1 year. It has not fit. So the next time it comes up, I'm just going to be sick or not be able to do whatever it is, so I can get that one piece of paper.
Do they offer it? They offer it during the summer?
Oh yeah, I just gotta wait until I see her post another class. The other one she did was just this Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. She was here in Charlottesville, and then she moved to Tennessee, but she still does them. I think it's 2 hours of self-paced, and then the rest of them you're on just like we are.
Okay.
Doing them that way, and then you get your certificate for that.
That sounds good.
I'll repost it. When I see it, I'll share it, because I want to. When I see it, I'm gonna share it with all of the Unspoken, or get her to come to Richmond, do the class, and have all the Unspoken come in that way.
Oh, that sounds like a good plan. That's a good idea.
Because I'm trying to see if she's gonna come back to Charlottesville to visit anytime during the summer. If she can do that, then I know 6 of y'all in Richmond. 3 in Maryland and 3 here.
Okay.
The rest are in Florida. That's up to them if they want to fly in. But that would be at least 10 of us,
right?
More, that she could have in one spot.
Right. Yeah.
She could make her rent that way for 2 months. Because I think class is $100.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not
So,
bad.
no, I didn't think it was bad at all. It's just my time, the timing just wasn't.
Right.
And then you can say, I'm certified.
That's right. And the more certifications you get, the better.
Yep. And then it's in our subject.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, when you get your counselor office,
Hang that right up in there.
so I'm certified.
Absolutely.
So, as we always close, what nugget do you? We already talked about the kids, but what would you like people to take away from? You know, what's your takeaway for the day?
Um, are you talking about specifically for men or just anybody?
That's you. Whatever you want.
Um, I would say personally to anybody, give yourself grace. Um, in many cases, life doesn't always go the way we want it to go. There are different obstacles, different mountains, different challenges. Give yourself grace to explore things in a healthy way, healthy manner. Be thankful for what you have. Don't compare your life to anyone else's. And just continue to chase after your dreams, chase after your goals. Uh, to my fellas out there, to my guys, man, the men, once again, it's always, it's a lot on our plate, a lot on our shoulders. But just more so, continue to be a person of good character, good morals, good values. They say nice guys finish last. I don't believe that. I tend to believe that nice guys do eventually finish first. But sometimes, you have to experience different seasons that may not be so pleasant. So, continue to be solid, continue to be stand up guys, and just more so continue to navigate through that storm. It's okay to not be all right. It's okay to share whatever you need to share with someone. There's nothing wrong with seeking professional assistance. Speaking from experience, it is nothing wrong with seeking professional experience. So assistance. So, just both sides. Just give yourself grace. This world it's a lot that we all have to navigate through, and there's things that people are going through right now that no one knows. So be kind to one another and continue to give yourself grace.
See, and here you were, nervous about being on here hanging out with me. I appreciate you. Um, that's a song too. We got work to do. That is a song. I don't know, but that's a song. It just came to mind.
And it's a woman that sings it, right? I think it's a woman that
I
sings.
don't know, but we're gonna figure it out.
We will.
But I want to thank you for coming on. We have Terrence Doctor, one of our unspoken real talk, unspoken men, and you'll see him again because we got stuff to do, and he has a lot going on his side. And as his events and stuff come up, you guys will know about it because it will be here on our YouTube channel. So everything our unspoken men are doing will constantly get posted and uploaded here. And as the viewer and subscribership increase, because Quentin, for some reason, got money that we're gonna be on 1.5 million subscribers. Okay, you go ahead with that one, Quentin. But if we do, everybody will know what's going on with everybody.
Absolutely.
So thank you, my friend.
Thank you as well. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, anytime. Don't go nowhere.